Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio, so today we are looking at a deck that is starting to slowly but surely come to the front of the Pokemon trading card game. It's starting to see a fair bit of success. It's Magnezone, Dusk Mane Necrozma. And I say starting to see a little bit of success because if we check some standings over at limitlesstcg.com, we can see that it did get 19th place at the regional in Charlotte, North Carolina. Almost 1,000 people played in that one. It did get 3rd place at a Buenos Aires special event over in Argentina. And at a regional in Perth, it got 8th place. That was Shane Quinn, but unfortunately his list is not currently available, which is a bit of a shame. The thing that makes me pause a little bit on this particular deck is that the Portland Regional did not see any real success for this, but I think we've seen enough at this stage to see that it is going to see a bit of play, and it is going to keep seeing a little bit of success. So starting off then with Dusk Mane Necrozma. This really is the main attacker in this particular deck. And to put it bluntly, this is a gosh darn good Pokemon, but it's expensive. First of all, we've got the main attack here, which does for 4 energy, 220 damage, and you discard 3 energy from this Pokemon. But of course, you had a choice band on there, you're doing 250, and basically anything up to and including 250 HP beasts like Metagross are going down here, and you are getting fairly simple KOs. That is a very, very good thing indeed. If you fall behind on prizes, you do have Sun's Eclipse GX, just a flat 250, only if you're behind on prizes. And 60 for free energy Claw Slash isn't amazing, but you might be able to get some cheeky KOs on Pokemon that are weak to metal. Now, this is all well and good, but it's very, very expensive. That, ladies and gentlemen, is where Magnezone comes in, which has just got one of these classic abilities that lets you attach as many metal energy during your turn as you like. In this case, it's metal energy. So as long as you can get the metal energy in your hand, you can attach it to Dusk Mane Necrozma, and you are off. Now, those are the 2 big Pokemon, but there are some other Pokemon we do need to bear in mind here. I will, of course, share both the successful lists with you after this, as I tend to do. Both the lists that have seen play, that did see some success, did play Octillery, and the reason here is very simple. You need to get your stage 2 up and rolling, you need to continually draw into your energy, you need to keep having your attackers, and so on and so forth. You need cards here, so you're relying on a stage 1 like Octillery, and this is a pain, because you've already got a stage 2 Magnezone you're using to get all your energy into play. Now you're introducing a stage 1 Octillery to draw these cards as well. Consistency will be an issue with this, as it is for any deck. And while we're here, we should mention that just like with any Stage 2 deck, if you don't find yourself drawing into a Magnezone fast enough, you probably are going to end up losing the game. If you can't get your Magnezone out, you're probably going to lose. We've seen Dusk Mane Necrozma see play with Silvally, but it is as an occasional attacker here or there. It's not the focus of the deck. If you want to make it the focus of the deck, you have got to have all of these extra energy on there, and you've got to have them every turn. Dialga GX also sees a lot of play here, as we would expect, because it's got one of the most nuts GX attacks we've ever seen. You get an extra turn. Just flat out, straight away, you get an extra turn. Now, it is for 5 energy, which is incredibly expensive, which is why it has to be with a Magnezone deck that this really sees play. Hopefully here you get a KO with Timeless GX, maybe on a Tapu Lele for instance, with a choice band, and then you get another turn immediately where you would not really attack with this, you would go straight into a Dusk Mane Necrozma. And you've also got Shred to get through any immunity a Pokemon might have. Unlikely to be useful, but it's there in an emergency. The other thing I really like about Dialga here, you've got Overclock. So if you're having a really bad slow start to the game, you can use it to draw some extra cards for just a single energy. Not what you want to do, but in a pinch, not a bad starting Pokemon. The other pretty much essential Pokemon here is Solgaleo Prism Star. This is a really good Pokemon for several reasons. Firstly, it only gives up a single prize. This is a good thing. Secondly, it accelerates energy. Thirdly, if you are ability locked by something like a Garbodor, or just you don't have a Magnezone in play, this is where Solgaleo comes in nicely. Radiant Star for 1 energy. You get to attach 1 metal from your discard to your Pokemon for each Pokemon your opponent has in play. I.e., if they've got the full 6 Pokemon in play, you can take 6 energy from your discard and attach them to your Pokemon in any way that you like. That's enough to get 3 energy on each of 2 Dusk Mane Necrozma, so you can then just add 1 energy onto each of them, and you are ready to rock and roll. I love this, ladies and gentlemen. It is an absolute must-play in these kind of decks. Now, that basically is what we saw from all of these players, other than, of course, the obligatory Tapu Lele. Now, in terms of energy, it's very simple. You just use basic energy. Magnezone only accelerates basic energy, as does Solgaleo Prism Star. You're just using basic energy. How many? As many as you can possibly get away with. Both the lists we're going to look at played 11, but really it is just however many you can get away with. Now, in terms of trainer cards here, the big special one is Mount Coronet. Search your discard for 2 basic metal energy and put them into your hand every turn. Your opponent is going to get rid of this using stuff like Field Blower, fine. But every turn you've got it in play, you get 2 energy back. You discard 3 with Dusk Mane Necrozma, you get 2 back with Mount Coronet, and of course you can put them straight back on using Magnezone. It is absolutely essential here. Now, of course, you need to get all your energy, so cards like Fisherman, getting 4 energy from your discard to your hand, something you are going to want for energy recovery. Same thing with Professor's Letter here. When you need to search out your energy, especially in the early game, this is absolutely crucial. And, of course, you are going to need here to be playing Field Blower, because as I mentioned with Garbodor, it is a big issue. You are very reliant on abilities, and if your opponent does ability lock you, it's basically the same as not getting your Magnezone out at the beginning of the game, which is to say, you will lose. And I should mention Energy Retrieval just as another card which does get that energy back for you. Let's have a quick look at the list so you can see how to play this. The simpler list of the two did come from Sebastian Lugo, who went and got 3rd place in Buenos Aires, and to be perfectly honest, it looks about right. You've got Guzma to bring Pokemon off the bench and KO them, which every deck plays. You've got N and you've got Cynthia. We've got Bridget here to get your Pokemon out into play at the beginning of the game. You've got Skylar, which can be good for grabbing that rare candy, so you can make sure you get that turn to evolution of Magnezone, or indeed just grab a Professor's Letter. It's consistent, it does what it's supposed to do. Looking over at Samuel Fortanes' deck, my pronunciations are generally not great on names, my apologies. You see, it's a very similar kind of deck, but we do have Professor Sycamore here, essentially saying I need to get set up. I am okay with the occasional game of bad discarding as long as I can get set up here. We also see there is a rescue stretcher here to get some of these Pokemon back. It's a recovery card for Pokemon which you might not need, but sometimes, especially when you're playing Professor Sycamore, you need to be prepared with this. Interesting to note that both players only played 3 copies of Rare Candy, but like I've said, this is a deck which is going to struggle a bit with consistency. Stage 2 Magnezone, Stage 1 Octillery, and you need to play as many energy as you can possibly fit into your deck. Cuts are going to have to come somewhere, but the theory is that between Skylar and Octillery, you should be able to get that turn 2 Magnezone. If you don't, it's going to go badly. But we're crossing our fingers and assuming that you will be able to. This is a very good deck. And it is a deck that is very powerful. Like Blastoise, Black Kyurem before it, it can take down absolutely anything. But there are going to be games where you just don't get set up, and that's how you lose. But it is starting to see a bit more play, and you know how I roll by now, ladies and gentlemen. As soon as a deck is starting to see more play and come to the front, I'm going to show you all about it. But this is where you come in. I want you to tell me how good you think this deck is. Do you think it is in fact legit? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! But be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do that. And do check out Wossy Plays for some Dragon Ball Super and video game action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.